Sawubona Mzansi. Welcome back to the MIH Live. So we're just getting a few things up, making sure that TikTok is up and running. I see that it is sending messages out, notifications to the different followers. If we have a look at YouTube, things looks like they are working fine. If I have a look at Twitch, things are working fine over there also. So we'll wait for a few people to start joining first, and then we can jump into it. So let me know. Mzansi, let me know. Leave a chat. Hook me up in the chat. That's what I should say. Hook me up in the chat. I see there's one viewer right now. Welcome, viewer from Twitch. I see you. I'm witnessing you. Stay tuned. We're just waiting for everyone else to pull through from either YouTube, TikTok, all those different places. So while we, if you haven't seen my video, if you haven't seen the video that was released today on the different social medias, today we were working on, or we continued working on the new MIH upgraded server. So the upgraded server, it has a better CPU, better GPU, more RAM. Basically, everything about the server is better. So in the first two streams that we did, the first one we set up the operating system. The second one we were installing the different tools that we required. So it was specifically Git and Docker. Those are the two important main tools that we'll be using. Git for version control, but Git for version control, and the second one, Docker, is for containerization. I think that's what the word is. It's basically, instead of me creating multiple servers or instead of me having multiple machines with each machine serving a specific purpose, I use one machine and Docker to create little mini servers inside that one machine itself to manage everything more effectively and more better than having multiple different machines. So that's what we did. We had a little bit of trouble with that in that stream, but we came out in the end. So today, during the day, what I was working on is actually getting the MIH server up and running. So having the database there, the front end, all of the different tools that we are using, moving it over to the new MIH server. And firstly, having the server detectable by my network. So we've fixed that, and then we moved on to getting the tool up and running. So there was a little bit of troubles moving the stuff over, but everything seemed to be working. We've transferred over the data also, which is one of the things that I was worried about, transferring over the data. So now, and when I speak about data, that's all of the data inside our database, all of the files that you would upload to MIH, and then also the authentication information. So that's important. So I was working on the authentication information first, and I was having a chat with Gemini. And hello everyone, thank you for joining. I see there's two people on TikTok, one on Twitch, and if we look over at YouTube, there's 0 on YouTube at the moment, but that's fine. We're growing, we're moving. So I first started focusing on moving over our auth information. So all the auth accounts, or all the MIH accounts, moving them over from the old server to our new server. And in that process, I was having a discussion with Gemini about what's the best way to do this. And Gemini advised that what we would have to do is because I was using a MySQL database, I could just transfer or copy that table itself to the new server, and everything should be working fine. So then I thought to myself, let me not just only do the authentication stuff, let me do all of the data inside our database. So we transferred that over to the new MIH server, and things were looking good. And then we moved on to, so that was the data. Then, while transferring the information, there was some issues that we were facing with also our files. So now we had to transfer over the files. Like this is the different documents generated by MIH, like your profile picture, your business profile picture, all of those kind of image data, basically. Transfer that over to the new server. So we use something similar to like S3, not exactly S3, but it's something. Thank you so much for the hot me. Yes, join the team MIH all the way. Thank you so much, Jay. So then, so then, so we're using an S3 kind of instance to house our the images and documents and all of those kind of things, and we're trying to figure out how to do that. So again, I was sitting with Gemini, just having a discussion about it and seeing what's it all about, and it took me around a whole rigmarole, but everything seemed to be working fine, or everything worked fine once I gave it like the full understanding of what I was trying to do, the type of servers that I was in, the configurations, all of those kind of things. Give it as much information in the beginning as possible in my initial question in order for it to answer me. So I did that. I transferred all of those document information over, and that seems to be working fine. So what I wanted to do today was, the main reason for getting the new or upgrading the MIH server is to have firstly better performance. So when you first log on to MIH, that time that it takes to pull your information, that'll be quicker. That's the one thing. And I think just the mere fact that we've upgraded the server, we've resolved that, but we are going to test that. And then the other thing that we wanted to do was to make sure that the Mzansi AI is a little bit more clever. At the moment, it's kind of dumb. We are using the most smallest one. I'll get into that later. The most smallest AI model, LLM model, that was released by Google, which is open source, which is Gemma 3. And I think we're using the 1 billion parameter model, which is the lowest of the low. So let's jump into the computer to see, let's chat about the LLMs, the Mzansi AI. So let me flip my camera over here for the people on TikTok. So I'll flip that for you. So we're going to first dive into Gemini. All right. So we're going to ask Gemini the question. We're going to start from the very basics. We're going to ask Gemini the question, what is Ollama? What is Ollama? I think that's how you spell it. So it should give us a nice description of what Ollama is. I'll wait for everything to generate and then I'll start the speech to text that everyone can hear. So let's give it 1 second. The device audio. Let me know in the chat, not on TikTok, but on Twitch and YouTube, if you're able to hear my computer, because I have a feeling that you might not be able to hear it. Let me move. So in the chat, I see there's someone in YouTube. Good evening.
Bringing large language models to your desktop.
Are you able to hear it?
Is a popular open source tool that simplifies the process of running large language models, LLMs, on your personal computer or local server. It provides a user-friendly platform for downloading, running, and managing various open LLMs, making advanced AI capabilities accessible without relying on cloud-based services. Essentially, Ollama acts as a bridge between open-source LLMs and your local machine. It bundles together the necessary components, including model weights, configurations, and dependencies, allowing users to get up and running with LLMs quickly and easily. One of the key attractions of Ollama is its emphasis on privacy and control. By running models locally, users can ensure that their data remains on their own hardware, addressing concerns about sending sensitive information to external servers. This is particularly valuable for individuals and organizations working with confidential data or operating in environments with strict data regulations. Ollama supports a wide range of open LLMs, including popular models like Llama 2, Mistral, CodeLlama, and many others. Users can easily download these models through the Ollama command line interface, CLI, or its upcoming GUI options. Beyond simply running models, Ollama also provides an API layer, enabling developers to integrate LLMs into their own applications and workflows. This facilitates the creation of AI-powered tools and services that leverage the power of these local language models. Key features of Ollama include local execution. Run LLMs directly on your machine for enhanced privacy and reduced latency. Ease of use simplifies the installation, setup, and management of LLMs. Support for various models. Access and run a diverse library of open-source LLMs. Customization allows for customization and fine-tuning of models for specific tasks. API access provides an API for integrating LLMs into other applications. Offline access. Once models are downloaded, they can be run without an internet connection. Ollama is available for macOS, Linux, and Windows, making it accessible to a broad...
So, I'll just flip the camera again for TikTok. So thank you on YouTube. Thank you, member of Mzansi on YouTube. You can hear me, so things are looking fine over there. And Jay, I saw you had a message. Let me just swipe up to it. Do you prefer Gemini over GitHub Copilot? So it depends on the situation that I'm in. So I use VS Code as my coding IDE of choice, the coding tool of choice. And built into VS Code, there is GitHub's Copilot or Microsoft's Copilot. They're all owned by the same person. And when you're using that one, I'll show you a little bit later on, when you're using that one, you get to choose which models you want to use. So there's, I think it is Gemini 2.0. There's, what's the latest? GPT 4.0 or something like that. One of the new GPTs. And there's other ones over there. But when I'm just asking random questions, like if I want to use Google, right, I would just use Gemini because they basically have the information of Google instead of me going to ChatGPT. It's just a preference of mine. But when I'm using VS Code and when I'm coding, I'll switch between models. I think currently I'm using GPT 4.40, whichever one it's called, because that's the latest one that's available, and that one is, they claim that it's the best coding assistant out there. So that's what I'm currently using. But I think Google will probably release Gemini 2.0, like Flash, to VS Code, and I'll just go back to using that. And I also switch between that and then also Cloud Sonnet 3.5. This is also a nice coding one. So I switch between those three when I'm using different LLMs. But one day in the future, I want to have it that I'm going to go to the Mzansi AI and ask my questions. I don't want to touch anyone else's AI. I want to touch our own AI. Makes sense. Nice. So that's what we'll run through what an LLM or Ollama is. So it's basically an open source tool that brings the capabilities of LLMs to the public, makes it easily accessible. So how I've heard it referred to before is the Docker of LLMs. So an easy way for you to spin up an instance of a large language model using your own hardware, using using your own hardware. You can do it yourself. So that's what we are using. So if we jump over to, I'll jump over to the Llama website and I'll take you through that. And we can have a discussion about what LLM would you like to see inside MIH. So I'll flip the camera for the TikTok guys. And just remember, for those that just joined, we are live on YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. Whichever platform you prefer, you can check us out there. So this is Ollama. You can see something looks familiar. In Mzansi Innovation Hub, I'm not stealing their idea. Ollama is a free tool. So to make people aware that I'm using Ollama, I'm using their icon in MIH. Just so that there's no confusion or people aren't saying that I'm stealing their things, even though it's open source itself. Hello, Darshan. So this is Ollama, right? So get up and running with large language models, right? So here's a few of the models that we can use from. You can run Llama 3.3, which is not their most recent one, but one of the nice ones. We have DeepSeek R1, Quinn 3, Mistral, We have Gemma 3. So this is what we're currently using inside the Mzansi AI and other models. But we'll go to the top and we'll see what models we can use. So here is the list of all the models that are available for us to use. So it's currently ranked by popularity or sorted by popularity. So we'll just run through them top down. So the one that we're currently using, let's open up Gemma 3. So we're currently using Gemma 3. You can access this yourself. All you have to do is Google Ollama, or you can go to ollama.com and then it'll take you to this website. You can set it up yourself also. There's lots of nice, great like YouTube videos and things about setting it up. And it's quite easy to set it up. So let's check here. So the one that we are using is the 1 billion parameter model, right? So if you look at the list of things, we have, it's starting off with 1 billion, then we have 4 billion, 12 billion, and then 27 billion, right? The one that I'm using is the 1 billion parameter model. And if we scroll down, so this is Gemma 3, you see their logo telling you what's it all about. And then here's when they get into what the models are about. So this is the main reason why we are upgrading the servers to something more modern, I guess, more better. Because if you look, the 1 billion parameter model, we can only use it with text. So that is you texting it and then it texting you back. It can't understand voice, or multimodal. It can't understand voice, or it can't use your camera. So you can't even send it a picture to say, explain what this picture is. So that's why we wanted to upgrade it. And if we look at the top, go back to the top, if we have a look over here, so we see the 1 billion parameter model is only 815 megabytes. The 4 billion is 3.3 gigabytes. 12 billion is 8.1 gigabytes. The 27 billion is 17 gigabytes. So you can see how large. If we view all, there's probably some monster ones over there also that we could use. So there's a 30 gig one over here also. I'm not even sure what that's all about, but there's some huge ones over here. That's when you have your supercomputers and stuff. But let me switch the camera over. So basically, my understanding, or while I was working with Ollama, I was also, the mission that I was on is understand how Ollama works with the hardware itself. Like what actually does it do when you chat with Mzansi AI? What happens in the back end of the hardware? Like what's actually going on? So based on my understanding, because the current hardware that we have does not have a GPU, it just has a CPU and RAM. When we first call up Mzansi AI, it brings the entire LLM model. So in our case, it brings that entire 800 megabytes into RAM and keeps it in RAM for the next call. So that eats up a lot of the RAM for other CPU processes that we need and other tasks that need to be happening in the computer. And what I also saw is you can run it on a GPU. So basically, if Ollama, what it does, it takes the entire model and pushes it inside RAM, then that means I would need more RAM. And if I'm using a GPU, I would need a GPU with enough dedicated graphics memory to store a LLM inside it. So if we have a look at the models, or I'm not going to show you now, but if we look at the models, the 4 billion parameter model is the best one for us because it's 3.3 gigs. And then that means that we have extra memory that we can add a different model into it. So we'll switch the screens back, and I'll show you a different model. What I was thinking of, but let me know in the chats, is what other model could we choose next? So I kind of like, I want to test out Meta's AI and see so theirs is called Llama, just Llama, not Ollama. So if you see over here, so this is their most recent model that they have released, which is the Llama 4 model. And, sorry, I was reading the chat. So it's the Llama 4 model. So this is the one I wanted to try out. But when I open it up, this is definitely not for your mere mortals. This one over here, if we have a look, it just has one model for us to use, which is latest, and it's 67 gigabytes. So basically, my understanding is I'll need like an array of graphics cards that add up to 67 or more gigabytes in total in order to use this specific model or have some crazy AI specific GPU. That's my understanding of it at the moment. So I'll wait for Meta to release their smaller version, like maybe their 4 billion parameter model, which will probably be a couple of gigs, and we'll use that one and see how it works. I was watching some podcast interviews of Mark Zuckerberg. I think it was on Joe Rogan and some other person's podcast, and he was saying that at Meta they are focused specifically on the the response time of the model. So they don't want a model that's going to sit and think for 10 hours and then answer you a question, right? So they want something you ask a question right now and then almost instantaneously or immediately you'll get a response from it, right? So I also want that kind of speeds for Mzansi AI. Reasoning we can look at later on when the world's models get a little bit better and quicker and faster. Then we'll just leverage what the world is doing. You know, those frontier models, later on those frontier models, they become available to the public. So that's what I will do, or we will do in the future. So what I wanted to figure out or ask Gemini about is how do we enable Ollama to use the GPU on our server, right? So we can ask that a question. Let me flip over for my people in TikTok. So we have that here. So we'll ask it the question, or I'll give it some background. I have a Docker container. So Docker is basically the tool used to spin up a mini server of whatever you want. So in our case, it's specifically to Ollama. Docker in container instance of Ollama. How do I get it to use the GPU? It's running on an Ubuntu server. If it needs more information, we'll just ask it. So we'll ask it that question, and then we'll wait for the answer to complete, and then I'll put it on loud for everyone to hear what Gemini was telling us. So we'll give it some time. Did I miss anyone's comment, anyone's chat? If I did, please feel free to comment it again, and then I will respond to it, because I'm still getting used to how the chats and stuff work. So just let me know. So is it finished? I think it's finished loading. So let's hear how to use that. So we'll give it a second. Yo, why is it taking so long today?
Okay, to get your Ollama Docker container to use the GPU on your Ubuntu server, you need to ensure that your Ubuntu host has the necessary NVIDIA drivers and the NVIDIA Container Toolkit installed, and then configure your Docker container to utilize the GPU resources. Here's a step-by-step guide. Prerequisites: an Ubuntu server with a compatible NVIDIA GPU installed, Docker installed and running on the Ubuntu server, Internet access on the server to download necessary packages.
Sorry, I just paused it now, but I'll stop it in between because this looks kind of long. But if we look at the prerequisites, what do we have? But before the prerequisites, I see they're saying that we need the right NVIDIA drivers. So if you have a look on YouTube and TikTok, or YouTube and Twitch now, you'll see that we have an NVIDIA GPU. I'll show the people on TikTok now. So we have the GeForce RTX 4060. So we do have the NVIDIA GPU, but what we don't have at the moment is the NVIDIA Container Toolkit. So that is something that we must install. I'm just making a note of that now. NVIDIA Container Toolkit. So that's something we want. Then if we have a look at the prerequisites, it is we need a Ubuntu server with compatible NVIDIA GPU. We currently have that. We installed that in our first or second live. We have Docker installed. That was in our our third live that we installed that and running on our server. We have that and internet access. So all of these prerequisites, we did fix this in our previous lives. So I think we can move on from there to, or we can carry on.
Step 1. Install NVIDIA drivers on the Ubuntu host. Ensure you have the correct NVIDIA drivers installed on your Ubuntu server. You can typically do this using Ubuntu's package manager. 1. Add the graphics drivers PPA if you want to use the latest proprietary drivers. 2. Identify recommended drivers. Look for the recommended driver version for your GPU. 3. Install the recommended driver. Replace NVIDIA driver ### with the recommended version. Alternatively, you can try auto-installing recommended drivers. 4. Reboot your server to ensure the drivers are loaded correctly. 5. Verify driver installation by running NVIDIA SMI after rebooting. You should see output detailing your GPUs. Step 2. Install the NVIDIA Container Toolkit. The NVIDIA Container Toolkit allows Docker containers to access the host's GPUs. 1. Add the NVIDIA Container Toolkit repository. 2. Install the NVIDIA Container Toolkit. 3. Configure the Docker daemon to use the NVIDIA runtime. 4. Restart the Docker daemon to apply the changes. 5. Verify the installation by running a test container. This command should run a temporary container with GPU access and display the NVIDIA SMI output from inside the container. Step 3. Run the Ollama container with GPU support. Now that your host and Docker are configured for GPU access, you can run your Ollama container, ensuring it's configured to use the GPU. If you are currently running an Ollama container, stop and remove it first. Replace Ollama with your container name if it's different. Now, run the Ollama container with the GPUs flag to allow access to all GPUs. To specify specific GPUs, replace 0, 1 with the indices of the GPUs you want to use, found from NVIDIA SMI output. If you are using Docker Compose, modify your Docker Compose link to .yml file to include the deploy section with GPU reservations. Then, run your Docker Compose stack. Step 4. Verify Ollama is using the GPU. After starting the container with GPU support, you can verify that Ollama is utilizing the GPU when processing requests. When you run a model via the Ollama API or CLI by execing into the container, the computation should be offloaded to the GPU, and you should observe increased GPU utilization using the NVIDIA SMI command on your Ubuntu host. You can execute command.
Okay, so I think that is good. So there's a few steps that we need to run through to get this done. So I think everything is possible over here, and we can set it up and do it today. I don't think that's an issue. Let me try and... Okay, so we have our server here and our Gemini over here. So Control L, that side. Nice. So people on TikTok, let me know what you want to see. Do you want to see what Gemini is doing or what we're doing on our terminal? And I'll increase the font size for us also. So Control L. Okay, I think the font size should be a little bit bigger. Nice. So the first thing that we need to do is, let's go to step 1. And okay, so the prerequisites it's sorted. Now we are going to sort out or install the graphics drivers and see if that is working fine. So I'll copy that here and I'll paste that. Looks like things are moving. Things are happening. Okay, let's clear that. Then, so we ran the first step now. So that step was adding the repository for the graphics drivers. Then we will update afterwards. So then we'll update it, copy that, paste it. Okay, so it updated our system. And then now identify recommended drivers. So paste. Okay, this is crazy. So when in doubt, I just copy everything and I give it back to Gemini. So I'll copy. So I'll tell it I was on step 2. So let's have a look what it was saying. So I was on step 2 in the beginning and I get this. Let's see what it's saying. Is it done speaking to us? What happened? So, looks like I don't want to speak to us. Read, that's it. Read. Okay, it's doing something now. Let's see, while it's thinking, let me see if there's any chats that I missed.
I see the output of Ubuntu drivers devices. The messages like udivadm hwdb is deprecated and error, root, a play command not found, assistant warnings and...
So I see, sorry to cut it off guys, we'll join it back, but I see Lebo on YouTube has just joined the chat. He's saying just joined, what are we doing? So, we are updating the MIH server. We have a new server that we are looking at, and we are just making sure that everything is ready for us to transfer everything over from our current production to this one. And what we are focusing on today is using the GPU that we installed in the new server. So that GPU over there is an NVIDIA GPU, as you can see on the screen. And we want to use that with Ollama. So we're figuring out what Ollama is all about, how to use the GPU when using Ollama, those kind of things, and setting it up on our side. And I see there's a spammer on Twitch, and that's okay. So we'll continue what Gemini was saying.
Errors unrelated to your graphics drivers or Ollama. You can safely ignore these for the purpose of getting your GPU working with Ollama in Docker. The important part of the output is this section. == devices PCI 0000 000000
Oh my word.
0000 10 o'clock.0 == modalius PCI V000010 882 SV1569 SD0000 S315 BC03 SC00I00.
Yeah.
Vendor, NVIDIA Corporation. Model, AD107, GeForce RTX 4060. Driver, NVIDIA Driver 570 third-party non-free recommended. This confirms that your system detects your NVIDIA RTX 4060 and recommends installing the NVIDIA DRIVER 570. Now, proceed with step 1.3 of the previous instructions, using NVIDIA DRIVER 570. Step 1.3. Install the recommended driver. Run the following command to install the
Okay, so I think we can pause it over there because it said it did what it needed to do properly. I don't know what that decrepit stuff was, but I don't think it's important for now. So We'll carry on. We'll scroll up to, where was that? Not the toolkit, not this, not this. Here. We'll carry on to this step. So, this step over here, it's saying, so here's a list of all of the, oh, there's it recommended. So this is the one that we're going to use. And I think Gemini picked up on that. So I'll just copy that. Then I'll paste it. Let me clear this for you. Or let me do a whole lot of pluses so the people on Twitch and YouTube can also see what's happening. Oh, sorry, let me. Yeah, they can also see what's happening there. So then something ain't right here. Let's copy this again. It copied garbage. So we'll copy this and then paste it in. Okay. So things are moving, things are happening, things are installing. So don't let this scare you guys. It's basically, when I'm using the MIH server, there's no user interface for you. So there's no buttons for me to click on or an app store for me to like install apps from. I have to use the command line, and this is what the command line is. And that command, if you look at this command over here, you'll see it's apt install. So the people on Twitch, it's here. I'll highlight it for you. So the apt install part on this screen over here. So that's basically apt is the app store. That's my understanding. Apt is the app store. And then install is basically like saying install the software for me, right? And then it's telling it what software are you installing. So there's no user interface. And also Y over here is just basically saying if they're asking you for confirmation, just say yes. Hello, Yaso the hacker. We're not hacking today, guys. Don't stress. We're not hacking. We are just installing drivers. It's nothing serious. But thank you for the comment. Thank you for the support. So it is installing it. It's about 12%. You can see at the bottom over there. So it is doing the things, guys. It is installing the stuff. So after this happens, the next step, if you're looking, so I'll move it over here. The next step is to reboot the system. So sudo reboot. So we'll wait for it to install. And while it's installing, so I see it says it is 20% and it's going to take 15 minutes. I don't know if that, okay, it's 4 minutes now. But do you have any questions in the meantime while we're waiting for this to install? So like I said, we are looking at how do we use our GPU on the new MIH server. And how can we enable Ollama, which is the foundation of the Mzansi AI, in order to use the GPU itself? So do you have any questions about that or any questions about MIH itself? You can let me know, leave a chat, leave a comment in the chat or leave a message in the chat for me. And then we'll figure that out. So it's on 34% at the moment. And we can move over and see what the next steps are, because rebooting, we can do that afterwards. So let's scroll up to the top. And so we need to install on the host. So that is here. And yeah, so we just did this step, but we replaced the hashes with our specific requirements or our specific hardware. And then alternatively, so we're not going to do this because we are selecting the correct driver itself. And then we're going to reboot, so that's fine. Then we need to verify the installation by running this step. After rebooting, you should see output detailing the GPU. This. So then once we've done with this step, after rebooting and all of those kind of things, then we can move on to the NVIDIA Container Toolkit. So that's just going to help us install it's going to help Mzansi AI because it's using Docker as its foundation. It's going to help the MIH server use the actual hardware GPU. My understanding and what Google explained to us. Why are you hosting MIH? Very good question, because MIH was created by us. And so this comment was from Lebo over on YouTube. So he was asking, why are you hosting MIH? So MIH is a application built by us from the ground up, so everything itself. And the reason why we're doing it ourselves in this way, instead of like going on a what's these companies like a Microsoft, Azure, or an AWS, and all of those kind of things, is with those come cost, additional cost as you start scaling up. And also, I feel like it hides some of the technical aspects about it from you. So it's just here's your server, here's everything for you. You just need to start coding and things. So we're also learning over here, and we want to grow our knowledge. So we said let's do it from scratch so that we know how everything works. And it doesn't matter if we run out of money, we still have the hardware. MIH will still be running on it. If we were using Azure or AWS and we run out of money, it's over for MIH. So that's exactly why we're hosting it ourselves and running it ourselves. So that's why we're going through all of this trouble of installing drivers and all of these other things. I hope that answers your question, Lebo. Let's see on TikTok if there is any other messages. And Twitch is looking a little bit dry, but that's okay. It looks like there's just scammers over here, and that's okay. So it looks like there's no new messages, but we'll wait. So it's currently on, I think it's installing something else now, and it's on 7-ish% or 15%. So I also think why it's so slow is because I'm streaming now, so that's taking up most of the bandwidth. But let me flip this over and flip this to the main camera, and then you guys can see me and we can chat. Nice. Yeah, so it was also a lab, it was also a great learning experience of when you're using, or what I've seen is when you're using like AWS or cool. So when you're using AWS or you're using Azure, and you spin up an instance, they already give you an IP address and say, here's your IP address. This is what you use for everything. But now when you're doing it yourself, you have to configure that yourself, and then you have to figure out, or I had to figure out, how am I letting this IP address on my own hardware have that access to the internet? That's something that Azure and or Microsoft and Amazon does for you out of the box. So we had to figure that out, and we did figure it out, and it's in my head forever now, and it was a great learning experience. So now when we're doing it for our new server, it's not a whole long story that it was before. It looks like things are moving. Let me show you. I think we are close. I think it downloaded everything it needed to download, and it's now just installing the stuff. So require additional configuration to work with third-party drivers. System will assist in configuration. To proceed, do not confirm. Pass it upon reboot. To install. Okay. I don't know what this is, but we'll see what that's all about. It's just a message about, I don't know. Enter password for secure. Okay, let me. Yeah. So you can't see anything. Okay. It looks like, I don't know if it froze or it broke or what, but let's wait and see what happens. Yeah, let's wait and see. If it broke, we'll just try again. So it looked like it's stuck on. It looked like it's stuck on 94% over here, but I thought it would just reboot or something. I hope this thing did reboot. Sorry, I'm just feeling the server. Interesting. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Yo, I was stressing for nothing. I thought I broke it. But it looks like it is sorted now. Let me switch over. So you can see that if we look over here, and I'll try and remove myself from YouTube. Let me remove myself here. Fine now. So next steps. What we have to do is reboot system. So sudo reboot. So let's do that. Okay. We will give it some time now to reboot. We shall give it some time to reboot. Maybe give it a couple of minutes. Not minutes, like maybe a minute or two. While we're waiting for that to load, is there any questions about MIH or what we're doing today? Because is there anyone new? So it should be up and running now. Let me try and log into it again. Couldn't connect. Okay. I don't think it's up yet, but I don't want to switch and put the computer on this screen over here in front of me. That will be the best thing to do, and then I'll actually see what's happening. But okay, it's still not back, so we'll give it a couple of. Why was Lebo's messages restricted? What's going on? Hide. Retracted. Lebo, why did you retract your messages? What's going on? Hectic. We all saw them. No need to hide. Let's try one more time and boot into it. What's going on? Wait. Give me 1 second. We shall make a plan. So I have to unplug the computer, and we're gonna have to plug in that computer now. So not this. Okay. Now, hopefully we can see what's happening. Cause if I broke it, that'll be quite sad. That would be quite sad. But it's okay. It is okay. I'm gonna try reboot it from the thingy, and then we'll see what happens. Yeah, hopefully we didn't break things. because the screen was just black. I can't even show you anything. The screen was just black. Okay, something is happening. Okay. Press any key, damn it. Okay, I can show you things happening now, but I don't even know if it's the right things. Okay, so I can log in now. Okay, wait, give me 1 second again. So now that I can log in, that means I can log in from my main computer now. So, yeah. Okay, perfect. Let me unplug this computer now. And then plug it back in again. I'm sorry about that. The struggles of not having enough screens. So, Control L. Okay, now we are up and running again. So I'll flip the camera again for us. And I'll switch this camera for us over here. Oh, I'm cleaning up your chat. Don't worry about the chat if it's messy. That's a good thing. You can leave the chat messages there, Lebo. It's all good. So people later on can come in and ask the same questions again. So don't even stress about it. So if we have a look on the right-hand side of the screen, we have successfully rebooted the MIH server, the new one. So what we are going to do is we're going to run this test over here, NVIDIA SMI. If we paste this, and I'll put it up here for you. So why did it say fail to communicate with NVIDIA driver? Make sure you have the latest driver installed. Okay. Not to worry. When we run into issues like these, we just ask Gemini. I tried the step. What happened? Paste. Shift enter. What happened? Let me know what AIs you like using, guys. I like using Gemini just because they have all my data already. And I think in the future they're gonna have like personalized AI. So I like Gemini using all my information or having access to all my information and being my personal assistant. But what AI do you personally like to use? So that has failed because it couldn't communicate with internet driver. Most frequently occurs when, especially after a fresh driver installation and boot, enabled in the server settings. Secure boot is a secure feature to prevent. Oh my word. Okay, I think it will take. Let me flip this camera. Let me switch this. So, what it's telling me is I have to go disable secure boot on the computer. Is everything fine? I'm sorry, I saw an error message on the streaming computer. Can people on the stream still hear me? On TikTok and YouTube. TikTok is, not TikTok, TikTok is fine. YouTube and Twitch, okay, they look fine on my side. But let me know in the chats. So basically what it was telling me is secure boot is enabled. I need to disable it on the computer, and in order for me to do that, I'll have to plug the computer in right now, and that's a little bit tedious right now, and it looks like we have 5 minutes left of our live, so I don't think I'll do it now. I'll carry on tomorrow with this and see how things go, and then in tomorrow's live we can test out the Mzansi AI or Olama and see exactly how it's working, if it's working any faster when we install the larger ones, like the 4 billion parameter one. So I think I will do Gemma again because I enjoy Gemma. And the other models that I was thinking about using is, sorry, I'm trying to find it on my screen. The other models is, let me know. So there's Gemma, Gemma 3, there's Quinn 3, there's DeepSeek R1, there's Llama 4, not yet because they don't have the smaller models. So there's Llama 3.3. We could use that. So let me know. You don't have to tell me in the chat now. You can leave a message on any one of the comments. Nice, thank you. You can hear me. So I don't know what was going on over here. So let me know what model you would like Mzansi AI to use. In the settings of Mzansi AI, you'll be able to change what model you are using. At the moment, it's just defaults to 1, but we'll add that feature in when we add different models to it. But so we'll do that. What else would I want to do? Yeah, so we didn't get through everything we wanted to get through. So we discussed what Olama is, right? So it's like the Docker of large language models, making it easy for you to start up or to create your own large language model at home. No large servers, no data warehouse needed. You can do it at home. If you have an old laptop, if you had an old tower, anything, you can use it, but you'll just use the smaller parameters and it'll be a little bit dumb. So that's what will happen. So that's what Olama is all about. And then the different models. So I did take you through all of them. Let me know what model you want us to use, what you would like to try out in Mzansi AI. We can always switch it up. It's not a, if you have it now, it's set. We can change it as and when we need it to change, right? So leave a comment anywhere and tell me what model you would like to use. And then we also try to install the NVIDIA drivers. So it's something that I must do offline. We install the drivers, but I need to disable secure boot or something. I need to figure that out, but I'll do that offline. Install the NVIDIA container toolkit. So that's important for our Docker. And then in tomorrow's live, we will test it out. So make sure you join tomorrow's live. I'll post a video now. At the bottom of the video, if you're watching on TikTok, it'll have the event or something for the live. All you have to do is click on it and set the notification up for it, and then you should be sorted. But yeah, cool. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining the live today, and let's keep working hard, Mzansi. And live.